Hey everyone, welcome to Retaliatory Strike. Today we have a game between myself, Ryan, playing Legion of Everblight, and Bob playing Khador. I want to just take a minute to give a shout out to Brian at Big Top Gaming for assisting me in figuring out how to do the new thumbnail that you see here. So a big shout out to him, and if you haven't, I recommend checking out his channel.
Hello Internet, it's me Bob. So I'm running Irusk 2 in the Legion of Steel theme for our 75-point game. He's got a Victor and a Greylord Adjunct. We have Alexia 2 to bring back dudes as skeletons. Our Kovnik, our maximum battle mechanics to repair the Victor. We've got the Black Dragons unit at full strength with the command attachment, and they're there to mostly screen for the Victor. We have the Great Bears of the Gallowswood, because they have countercharge in the theme, and they're pretty good to chop stuff up real accurate like. And we have the Iron Fang Uhlans that I'm going to be trying to keep behind the troops and charge through, but by abusing Tactician a little bit. And there's the Croe's Cutthroats mercenary unit, who are going to be flanking.
And what is kind of the idea behind your model choices in this list?
Irusk 2 has Fire for Effect, which I want to keep up on the Victor, so we get the boosted attack and damage roll off the big mortar. The Victor has Flight, which is going to be relevant against some of the flying Legion models in this list.
Where it gets boosted,
attack
or additional.
Rolls. Yeah, it gets additional die on attack rolls against flying models. Also with the prevalence of Archons, I figure that could come into play in other matches. We've got I want to use the Black Dragon as a screen for the Victor, so you have a hard time delivering beasts to him. And we're going to just move up the table real slow-like, hoping Alexia can pick up dead Black Dragon souls and turn them into skeletons, so a little bit of recursion game. Move up the table until Irusk can put his feet out and smash stuff, because his feet lets him see through forests and get Pathfinder, and hoping to let me get a bit of an alpha off, and yeah.
And the crows are just there for
flanking.
Nice. Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. Today I am running Abby 1 in a Primal Terrors list, 75 points. For models, I have Abby 1 running an Angelius, a Carnivean, a Naga Nightlurker, a Nephilim Bloodseer, Proteus, Raek. For solos, I have 2 Forsaken and a Warmonger War Cheief. For units, I have a max unit of Blighted Ogrun Warspears with the Warspear Cheiftain. And of course, I have the 2 Hellmouth units because they are fantastic jam for the list. The idea behind playing a lot of these models is mostly just to see what they were like before the CID, because I'm playing this just right before it's going to drop. So the Angelius, Carnivean, Proteus, and Raek all are getting some changes, and overall I think they're all going to get really positive changes to the models. On the table, the idea behind a bunch of it was Proteus having grievous wounds and chain weapons. He can go up against the Black Dragons and their Black Fang pikemen, and he can pretty much murderize them if he gets to them. And then I figured an Angelius and a Carnivean can fight a Victor real good. With Abby 1, you can put Refuge on the Angelius, which means that it can go in, do that big armor-piercing attack, and then back up and stay more safe than it normally would. For the Ogrun Warspears, I put prey onto expensive units like the Uhlans and have them go up one side there to skirmish with them. Other than that, the Forsaken are in there to help with Fury management, and the Hellmouths, as I said, are just great jam. Deployment. So we rolled off, and Bob won the roll off and chose to go first. For terrain on the board, on the bottom left, we have a burning forest. Bottom right, we have water. In the middle of the bottom zone there, we have a trench. In the middle of the board, just below the top zone, is some more forest. Just above that is a wall and to the right of it, right of the top zone, is Burning Cloud template, and then top left is the top wall template, and then Bob's deployment.
So yeah, I put the Victor across the bottom zone because I was looking at the middle of the table, and I didn't like him in the middle between the flag and the objective and the placing of that forest. I wasn't liking that, so he's across in the bottom zone. Then I've put the Black Dragons around the Victor because I want them to go screen for him. I have Irusk standing right beside the Victor to put fire for effect on it. I then put the Uhlans on the other side there, and they want to kind of hang out in the back to try to counterpunch after the front lines have closed. I put the Great Bears in back so they can also run to try to get some irrelevant. Maybe the Beware counter charges might matter, but I also want them as a follow-up punch because they can hit real good, especially with Battle Lust on them. I put the Kovnik on the top so he's near the flag, because I want him to go score that blue flag. Alexia goes in the back where she wants to just hang out and try to pick up souls off my Black Dragons. Mechaniks are just hiding out behind Victor so they can keep him fixed up. And then I just have the Crows to advance deploy after.
For my deployment, I put Abby 1 right in the middle there with the Proteus right beside her and the Angelius just below. I end up moving him so then the Raek's there, so then she can get all her upkeeps out if depending on which ones I think, because I can't quite put all of them out with 6 Fury. So I have a Raek, Proteus, and the Naga Nightlurker going up top, and then I have the Angelius, the Carnivean, and the Bloodseer going on the bottom to line up against the Victor. I put all the Ogrun up at the top, and I'm putting prey on the Uhlans. And then I have my Forsaken following up the beasts there to help with Fury management. And for my objective, I decided to take the healing objective as she likes to do damage to herself. So, yeah.
Oh, and I took the Pathfinder objective because I thought I might do something goofy and put Pathfinder on Irusk and run him through the forest at some point, maybe. I don't, but I wanted that option. Croe's Cutthroats get advanced deployed at the top because I want and they put prey on the Ogrun Warspears because I want them to try to skirmish the Ogrun.
And then for my Hellmouths, I put one behind the top forest there. That's a good place. And then I realized that fire can actually hurt the maw of Hellmouth, so I decided to put the bottom one there, 3 inches into the forest, so he can't just take pot shots at it with his big gun there. And unless he can debuff the armor or make fire burn hotter somehow with a Menot Archon or something, they're totally safe there. And that is our deployment.
Khador, turn 1. Alright, so my 1 power-up goes out, and Ryan slides that prey token onto my Uhlans, because his Ogrun have preyed my Uhlans. Irusk puts fire for effect on the Victor. He puts solid ground on himself. He energizes himself forward 2 inches. He fails to charge at the Angelius, bumps into the objective, and now he's going to be nice and central on the table so that he is in a good position to maybe get his feet off next turn or at least put spells out. Then I run the Victor. It thunders up the board 8 whole inches. Afterwards, Ryan asks me, like, are you going to run your models? And I was like, no, that was me running my models. That's my max speed. You get a nice view now of my awesome conversion from Conquest to Victor, my huge cannon. I then run my Black Dragons up. There's a bit of a break where I have to check my command ranges because I realize I'm spreading them around the Victor pretty hard. But the officer has a command of 8, and the Standard Bearer pumps it out by 2. So with 10 inches of command, it's not too hard for me to get my Black Dragons all spread out, where next turn my plan is to walk them up and go into shield wall to screen for the Victor. And that's looking pretty good. I also had checked pretty good to make sure I wasn't going to put anything in range to get grabbed by a tentacle, because that's super tilting when they start dragging models out of command range and eating them. I run my Uhlans up a little bit, making sure we stay at tentacle range. Once I'm happy with that, then I run up some Mechaniks. They're in position to help out Victor. I run Alexia to hang out, just so she can collect souls later, but shouldn't happen on top of turn 1 or bottom of turn 1. Check the tentacle threat ranges there, so Croe's Cutthroats can flank a little bit, and then I'm just going to run a Kovnik up to get in range of the flag.
Legion, turn 1. So I start with my turn. First thing I do is check to see if my Ogrun can assault the Crows, and then I remember that they have stealth, so they can't, so I just run them up and give him 2 juicy targets to proc Vengeance off of. I run up the solo with the unit there to give out the veteran leader nice and far. Then I run the top Hellmouth unit to be that jam that I want. I then check the Uhlans threat range and make sure that my Naga Nightlurker stays out of it, so then he can not get charged and be able to shoot next turn. I then just move the bottom Hellmouth, and then I Spiny Growth and charge with the Bloodseer to get him up the board. And I do the same thing with the Carnivean, which I then use Forsaken to move up behind the Carnivean and pull the Fury off. I then go with Abby 1, and she puts up Playing God onto Proteus and Refuge onto the Angelius. She warps for all 3 of her warps, taking 3 damage, and then uses her last 2 Fury to heal those 2 points. I then run the Angelius up behind the top Hellmouth and run the Proteus into the middle of the board to hopefully threat the victor. And then I rile and run the Raek and then use the Forsaken to pull 2 Fury.
Khador, turn 2. Okay, so we get power up on Victor, obviously. We get 1 free upkeep of Fire for Effect from the Adjunct, and then I pay 1 to upkeep Solid Ground. Then I'm measuring threat ranges a bit, because I'm thinking if Irusk feats, I can get at least 2 cavalry on that Hellmouth. So thinking that could be pretty good. I set aside some focus, thinking of putting Battle Lust on them to help overcome that Impervious Flesh. I full allocate to the Victor. I think I kind of have a plan going off. I want Irusk to feat so I can kill a Hellmouth. I'm measuring threat ranges to see who the Victor can shoot at, and really Proteus is the only real target. I can't quite get on the Bloodseer. I can't really get on anything else, so the Proteus is the only thing Victor can really shoot at. It's okay. Well, with more guns, anyways. Now I get my plan figured out. I'm trying to figure where Irusk wants to stand, because I'm thinking where his feat gives -3 speed to enemy models and units that are activating in it. If I wasn't worried about getting assassinated so much, I'd push Irusk up behind that forest and catch like the Warspears and more beasts in it. But I'm worried about getting killed by that 4-inch reach on Proteus. Makes him real good at killing casters. So I decided to pretty much stay where I am, pop my feet. I try a shot at the tentacle and don't kill it, because I'm not willing to boot. And I cast Battle Lust on the Iron Fang Uhlans. The Uhlans now charge into the Hellmouth. I'm not worried at impact attacks here. I just charge in and use a lance on the Hellmouth. That's all I'm there for. The impacts wouldn't have mattered, assuming if I killed the thing, so that's my goal. I can't really use the rear 3 Uhlans for anything right now, so they just run up into a diamond formation, so they get the +2 armor from being base to base, and they can hang out there, hoping to be another counterpunch after. Now I roll out the attacks and damage on the Hellmouth, and I splatter it super quick. I do my 3-inch repo on the unit. They have Pathfinder from Irusk's feet right now, so it's easy to move through the woods. I figure where I'm going to. So I touch that one's butt. Then I realize I only have 1 inch reach when I'm not charging, so I move up a little bit to engage Proteus, just so he's not so free to act. I run my Kovnik up to score that, to be in position to score that flag and contest that zone. Then I think I go with the Croe's Cutthroats next. Yes. So I decided to take that bait and try to kill. I'm hoping to kill 2 Ogrun Warspears. They're my prey targets, so it shouldn't be too hard to do. So I line up my 6 guys to shoot at 2 Ogrun Warspears. And I wind up not rolling very well. I only need 5s to hit, and I'm dice off 4 for damage. But it takes me my entire 6-man unit to kill 1 Ogrun Warspear, giving Ryan vengeance and giving me nothing except 1 dead Ogrun. And I repo back, hoping to keep them alive, and that's what they do. And then I figure where Victor needs to stand, because I'm kind of weighing whether or not to put the screen of troops up first or after, and I'm like, they're not in his way right now. He's just going to walk up and try his shots, and then I'll move the troops in. So he goes up to be just in range to get all his guns on that Proteus. I lead with the flare shot. We make a dumb mistake and forget that he's engaged in melee, so it didn't add... sorry, I did have the adjunct give Isla sight to Victor first, so that he at least would ignore the concealment benefit from Ashen Veil. So I did that. Then cranked the shot with flare. Once we landed it, we remembered the engaged in melee thing, so the follow-up shots from the side guns have... what do you call them? They're counting the engaged in melee penalty. But because you have playing God on him, Proteus is flying right now, so the side guns get the additional attack dice against flying models, so they have a pretty good chance of landing hits. So we land a couple of these, we do a little bit of damage, we boost all the damages in that we can. So we chip some decent damage into Proteus doing that. I like that rule on Victor where he's good at shooting flying things.
I think he actually forgot to roll the extra dice on the flying model on that, because you're boosting and only rolling 3 dice. But
I thought I was just rolling 3 dice to hit and then boosting damage in after. I thought I was doing, but I don't know. No. Maybe I forgot stuff. We're bad for that. Now I just walk my black dragons up and put them to shield wall. I have a bit of a struggle trying to physically fit the models to go base to base, because they have big overhanging cloaks and they have big shoulder pads and shields and pikes, and they don't fit base to base with each other super nice. So I'm mashing them together and getting as close to base as I can get them, mostly. Then I decide to run my Great Bears in behind them. I'm trying to put them where maybe the countercharge range could matter, because it's a tough thing benefit to leverage. So I'm putting them up real far, hoping that maybe if he launches into me, I can do it.
Legion, turn 2. So the first thing that I do is do my vengeance moves on my Ogrun. I'm moving them over to fight against some of the Uhlans a little bit more effectively. And I spend most of this turn figuring out what they're going to do. So I decide to heal Proteus with the objective, because I'm thinking I might do him first and then cycle Playing God over to the Carnivean. With Abby's thing, it's from activation to activation, so all the warps are still active on her. I pull in all of the fury and I upkeep all my upkeeps, and with resourceful I don't have to pay anything because they're all on my battle group. After that, here's me just doing lots of measuring for my Ogrun. I'm trying to decide what they can do. It looks from an above view that I might be able to reach into melee the one Uhlans that's tying up Proteus there, and I measured out and he is just out, so I have to change my plan a little bit. So I'm thinking about it and I decide I need to move some models, so I move up with the Angel. He has his speed gimped down to 4 inches, so I stay at that 2-inch range, do the armor piercing, boost to hit, and we find out that even with his +2 armor, it's Snake Eyes will still kill him, so he doesn't tough and gets removed. And then I refuge the Angel back into safety there. After that, I am going with the Warspears. So this guy charges the guy in the forest. That guy charges an Uhlans, one of the top Uhlans there, and I forget about countercharge, and I didn't want to engage his Kovnik, so then he countercharged me, and cranked the damage, and my Ogrun had to tough, so he's knocked down up there, which isn't great, but c'est la vie. The rest of my Ogrun, that guy charged the Uhlans in the forest, and then these two guys are charging one of the back Uhlans there, forgetting that the guy's now knocked down and not engaging the front Uhlan, but he can get there. And then this guy tries one at the Kovnik. They're all in the veteran leader range of the solo, and then this is a prey target, so they're high rat versus them. My officer misses, and then my other model connects and kills him. Dice off 2. And then one guy going in versus the Kovnik and them, and I just chip in just a little bit of damage. After that, I go with the Naga Nightlurker. So he countercharged his Kovnik into aim range of him, so he aims. It's not ones to hit, hits, and then I boost damage on that, and I move up the Ogrun solo there to help protect the Warspears. I'm hoping that the Croe's Cutthroats might waste some attacks into him instead of into the Warspears. And then from here, I am looking to see if my Carnivean can go up and get a really juicy 10-inch spray, and he can, so I'm going to hit 4 black dragons and all 3 great bears and the victor with it, so it's a pretty good spray. I miss my first one. I'm needing 7s. I boost to hit the officer and I still miss him, and then I'm boosting to hit all the great bears. The first one I hit, my damage blows up and he dies and doesn't tough. The next one I hit and he doesn't take any damage, but he's on fire. And the third one takes I hit him and I do 1 point of damage to him, so but he's on fire, so it could be relevant. And then I do 1 point of damage to the victor with the spray there. With the Bloodseer, I spiny growth and charge a black dragon. I boost to hit, and end up killing him, and he doesn't tough, which is great for me. After that, I am looking to see what Proteus can get. His movement is gimp from the feet, so on a charge he moves 6 inches with the warp. So I'm trying to decide what to do. I'm looking, and he can see the objective, and he can get there with his chain weapon at least. And then here I'm measuring out to see if Absylonia can get a blight burst onto the victor, which if she can, he can't spend focus while in the cloud. So I decide to go with her. I warp for all 3 and then feet and heal everything. And then she goes up, and I use 3 for the blight burst. I boost to hit to make sure it goes off, and I boost damage. It's dice off 7, and I rolled a 6, 5, 4, so I did pretty decent damage to it, and she's there camping 1. So she's a little bit up the board, but I think it's all right. After that, I go with Proteus. He charges the objective. I roll 6, 6, 1 and leave the objective on 4. Then his 1 Talon kills the standard bearer, and then nothing else is in his combat, so he buys an attack, does 2 damage. It's dice off 2, and then I have to buy another one and finish it off. And then I decide, I'm looking, and Irusk is just out of his chain weapon, so I buy one into a black dragon and miss. After that, we're checking, and the Raek's out of the feet, so he just runs to body block for Abby up front there. So with Playing God and her 1 transfer, she has 2 transfers available. And then I move up a Forsaken onto the flag, take 3 focus or fury off the Carnivean, and I move the other Forsaken up and take 3 off Proteus to help with my fury management this turn.
Khador, turn 3. Shit's getting real. So, you're up on score significantly. You're
3-0 right now.
I didn't even have one?
No, you scored on this turn.
Oh yeah, because you're usually a score marking one. So yeah, 3-0. So I check fire rolls. One goes out, a bunch don't. I lose a Great Bear. So now I have one Great Bear. So that rule they have flank is never going to happen. So that's crap. I upkeep my spells. I had no point allocating to Victor this turn because he can't spend any focus because he can't get out of that cloud of no spending focus. I kind of bash out a quick and dirty plan of who I can get on. There's maybe a janky play I could try to get on Absylonia with my troops, but I don't really think I can, so I decide I'm going to plan on putting Battle Lust on my troops, have them just fight beasts. The Victor is going to try and shoot Absylonia a bunch, that was my plan. So I put Eyeless Sight on the Victor with the Adjunct. I weigh my options if it's worth aiming and shooting at her or if I should move a little bit. I decide to move so I can get both side guns on her and tow the zone because that's going to be relevant. So I got that on the go. So I'm towing the zone. I can get all my guns on Absylonia. I use my Fire for Effect mortar with a flare ammo and it hits her and cranks a big damage roll that he transfers off to
Proteus. 13 damage.
13 damage to Proteus, which is significant. Flare was also relevant because it dropped the stealth on the Raek, which meant that line of sight all of a sudden got a lot trickier, but there's just a little sliver that I can still see, so I decide to die out by side guns and start rattling shots. I get 3 shots all told, so that's dead ass average for 2d3 guns.
You're needing 9s to hit.
The anti-aircraft rule on the guns is pretty handy for helping those get through, so we land a few of those hits. But after that first big mortar shell hurting her real bad, the side guns just chip a little tiny bit of damage and her rapid healing takes most of it away, so she winds up in pretty good shape after that. So that was nasty for me. Like, it did not good for me. I was hoping to get a lot more damage into her. If I could just kill her, because I'm worried about scenarios. If I could have just killed her, I would have. But my Croe's Cutthroats go up. I got one guy who wants to shoot at that knockdown Warspear. The rest just want to shoot at Warspears. I wasn't even looking for it, and then I realized, so I shoot the knockdown guy and kill him. And then I realize I can shoot back arcs of these Warspears because of the way they're looking, they charged and assaulted everything towards the center of the table. So I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting back arcs. The Crows have backstab. This is amazing. So I'm rolling 3 dice to hit and 3 dice for damage, and it's huge. So Croe's Cutthroats are monsters here and kill lots of Warspears. 2 of them, I think, 2 or 3 of them shoot at the Ogrun Warmonger solo and do like nothing. They maybe chip a point or 2 damage in, and that's about it. Not a lot to him, but they kill lots of Warspears with those backstab shots, which is fantastic. So I'm real proud of them. They're glad I hired them. They're a good merc unit. Then they're going to repo their 5 inches, trying to keep that flank pressure on the go. And then one of them goes to tow the zone and engage the Warmonger. Because at this point, I'm not sure if I'm going to actually hit the Warmonger or anything else. So I at least want to engage him. And then I check my command ranges and make sure that I keep everyone in command. So I do. And yeah, move on from that. But they were real good. They were rock stars. Proud of them. Then I'm looking at what else I want to do. Okay, I've got troops. I've still got my Black Dragons. I still have my Iron Fang Uhlans. So Irusk puts Battle Lust up on the Black Dragons and then moonwalks backwards and then tries a hand cannon shot at Proteus. He's not going to boost it, so Proteus has Ashen Veil up because of your warp. But that's it. So he's def 13. So I roll it, I hit him, I boost damage and crank a bunch of damage into him. So that's awesome.
You did 7 and I healed 1.
Yeah, that's a lot better than the other times where I just barely chip and you heal up. That rapid healing gets you a lot of mileage in this game. Then I have the Black Dragons do their mini feat because the officer, by a miracle, the officer survived. So they have Iron Zeal up, so they have more armor and can't be knocked down. Good stuff like that. They walk up and go into shield wall instead of charging, which I probably should have just charged them because everything around here that's going to hit them is just going to kill them anyway. So I should have charged them really, but I'm trying to still keep my Victor as safe as I can, so I want them in shield wall just to be harder to kill. So they walk up and they do some big combined melee attacks because Ashen Veil's up on Proteus, which makes him harder to hit. Both combined melee attacks are getting pretty accurate, so we hit pretty reliably. I don't really explode the damage rolls, so I'm just kind of chipping away at them, and it's not going great. I have these other guys do a big CMA at the Bloodseer. Oh no, they do single attacks, because the Bloodseer doesn't have great defense. They can reliably hit him. So they do a bunch of individual attacks at the Bloodseer. And they do a bit of damage, but nothing crazy. Nothing to write home about. I have my remaining guys in the center. I was going to have them hit the Raek, but I decided to have more of them go after Proteus. And one guy can't reach Proteus, so he tries the Raek. And I think he does connect and do a little bit of damage to the Raek. Nothing.
Or no, that was into the Bloodseer as well.
Oh, another guy attacks the Bloodseer. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so they do some damage. I was hoping that they'd kill Proteus off. So now the Uhlans are going to try to mop up. So the Uhlans, I'm going to have one of them charge Proteus. I'm going to have some other ones charge, another one charge a Warspear, and have another one charge that Ogrun Warmonger solo. I really thought about putting two of them into Proteus because I wasn't sure, but he was pretty hurting. Charging cavalry.
Dice off 4, and he had 5 boxes, so you needed to roll that 9.
And I do, and I kill him. So then I go in and I hit and kill the other 2 Ogrun. So that's going great. Also, this whole game, all my Uhlans, all my Iron Fang guys have critical knockdown, and I don't roll any crits all game. No crits at all. And some of your models can't be knocked down like the Serpentine ones, but man. So I repo my Uhlans a little bit. They're doing pretty good. I feel like the cavalry, I usually just run the cavalry out front and they die real quick. So trying to hold them back and then have them charge in afterwards to mop up, they feel like they get more mileage that way sometimes. So then I have Alexia 2 go up and make some warrior thralls. I have one of them as a nice little lane to try to get on the Bloodseer, and I have one run to get on the flag and be in the zone, and I have a third one kind of stay in the middle, hoping to maybe get to use them next turn. Yeah, the one that goes and charges the Bloodseer hits him and does a decent damage roll, but at dice off 10, he does like 5 damage, so there's some damage there. And then I have the last, the only remaining Great Bear goes and attacks the Raek twice and misses him twice.
Legion, turn 3. So this turn is, I'm looking, and all I need is to score 2 and contest all of his scoring, and I'll win the game. So I go into the tank to do that. I do my Vengeance to move up the Warspear a little bit to make getting in on those Uhlans even easier. I pull in all my Fury, and I end up leaving 2 on the Bloodseer. I roll and he's fine. Threshold 10's real good. And then I just need to clear out 2 Uhlans, a Croe's Cutthroat, and a Warrior Thrall, and I can score that zone. So I start with that. I charge with my Angelius. I do the armor piercing, boost to hit, need a 6, hit, and he toughs it, which sucks. So because it's a star attack, I have to buy another attack, and it's a 6 to hit, so I decide to boost it, because sometimes 6s aren't super reliable. So I hit, and I need a 6 to do the tough again, and I roll a 5. So it was a bit rough, but I decide to refuge forward and really threaten his caster up forward there, because I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to clear the zone. I'm still working on the problem here. I know that I want the Warspear officer to go in and try to help out, and the Naga Nightlurker there can definitely help out. So I'm measuring to see if Absylonia can just walk over and smack the Uhlans. She has grievous wounds, so it would be great, but can't get there. And I'm looking to see if the Forsaken can walk over and blight bomb the Warrior Thrall and the Croe's Cutthroat out of the zone there, and I can't quite get to the Warrior Thrall. I'm looking, and I messed up, and I thought the Raek had 2-inch reach, so I walk over and I go to jump, and then we check it, and he's only got 1-inch reach. So we just do a little bit of a mulligan there. And then back to the drawing board here. I'm trying to see if I can get the Carnivean in there with a 10-inch spray. He can be pretty mean. And I'm also looking to see if Absylonia can get in there with her Blight Burst spell. And it looks like I'll be able to get the Carnivean in with just a walk if I go straight. But I decide to put a Playing God and then warp for all 3 warps. So then he is speed 6 and it's more comfortably in and not like to the millimeter. And then I go with Absylonia. She has speed 7, so she walks around the combat range of the Great Bear there. She does her Blight Burst at the Uhlan and boosts to hit and boosts damage, which ends up killing the Uhlans, and he doesn't tough this time, which is great. And then I can't actually damage the other one. And then from there, I am going with my Warspear, and I charge him in on the Uhlans, and I get in combat with the Warrior Thrall in case I kill with the throw. I miss the throw attack, hit with the charge, and he toughs again. So his toughs have been on point this game.
Relevantly, that's the only model that's passed a tough check for me.
Well, you're 2 Uhlans this game.
Yeah.
So I use the Forsaken to move up, and he Blight Bursts the Croe's Cutthroat. He needed to roll a 4 to do it, to kill him, which he did. And then I end up charging in with the Naga Nightlurker, boosting to hit. I hit, and he doesn't tough this time. So now all I have is a Warrior Thrall, and I just need to get my Carnivean to where he can see out of the forest and spray. And I'm not wanting to take a free strike from the Great Bear, so I try going with the Raek here. So I jump and I boost to hit. I hit, so I'm in his back arc, which makes it easier to hit, and I boost damage, and then he toughs again. And then I do my bite attack, and I just break armor, and he doesn't tough a second time. So now my Carnivean can go in a more straight angle. He targets my Warspear, and he ends up killing the Thrall and doing some damage to my Warspear. But now I've cleared that zone and I'm scoring it, so I score 2 to his 0 to win the game. Afterthoughts. So in this game you won roll off and decided to go first. Do you think that that was a good choice, or do you think maybe being able to like have my models run up and have Victor be shooting bottom of 1 might have been a better choice? Or
I stand by having it going first that turn because there wasn't any massive with the terrain that was going to benefit me if I went second, and Victor being speed 4 and me not having anything that makes me go faster means if he was walking and shooting even on turn 1, it takes him a lot of turns to start getting his feet in the zones, whereas running him turn 1 and then walking and shooting after that meant I got his foot in the zone reasonably early into the game.
And then, is there anything that you feel you might have misplayed, or if you were to redo this exact same match and things played out similar, what you would change about any of your turns?
I felt I played a pretty tight game mostly. The only thing I kind of regret is I think I misplayed the Great Bears. I should have held them back in reserve as a counterpunch unit, the same as I did with the Uhlans. Instead, I put them really far up, trying to get them in range where their countercharge might matter, and instead they just got flamethrowered by a Carnivean.
Yeah. So do you feel like maybe having spread them out instead of going for that +2 armor, so I could only hit one guy with a flamethrower, might have been a better choice?
Either spreading them out or even just keeping them a little further back, just for that like second wave. Probably would have been smarter.
For me, I think a big point was using my Playing God transfer for 13 damage to Proteus was probably a mistake over spending my 1 Fury and having it go to the Carnivean, who could soak that damage pretty good and not a ton of stuff gets on him. And then Proteus might survive that turn. I think that was one of my misplays.
Yeah, he would have been a lot harder to put down if you had transferred all that damage to him, and the Carnivean sitting way in the back wasn't gonna get hit really, so yeah, that would have been smarter.
Yeah, other than that, I think it was a fun game, and I think your list was actually really good, where you had your Black Dragon screening, because I at no point thought that I could deliver Beast because you feeded on Proteus. I thought maybe Proteus could get to Victor on turn 2 there, but you feeded him, so then at that point I felt like there was no chance for me to get a Beast on Victor. So then I ended up pushing my scenario game, and on that note, something I could have done instead of going for the Great Bears, I definitely could have tried to clear that zone, and I could have been 4-0 at the bottom of 2 there, which might have made scenario even a little bit better, and then kept the Carnivean a little bit farther back, so then I didn't have to worry about any counterpunch from onto him at least. That might have been something that I could have tried a little bit different.
I was worried about that. Before I had Victor have his toe the zone, I was worried there was only like 4 Black Dragons holding it at one point, and I was worried you were going to wipe them all out, but I was glad you didn't.
Yeah, looking at it, I was after the fact that might have been a play I could have gone for. I mean, I felt that the attrition was starting to swing without me not being able to get damage into the Victor or be able to kill him or even get to him. So that's why I pushed that scenario. Like, it was at the end there, I had Absylonia like right up in the mix of everything. So if for whatever reason you just continually toughed on one of the Uhlans or something,
that was all I had going for, was no knockdown tough.
It could have been real mean for the next turn at least. But overall, it was a really fun game.
One thing I wanted to say I was proud of for myself, actually, was I didn't get too greedy with Irusk trying to get his feet to debuff speed of more of your models, because I looked at it real hard, and I've fallen for that trap before, because sometimes it matters a lot, but knowing that 4-inch reach on Proteus meant there's so many ways you could probably get on Irusk and kill him if I did. I'm really proud I didn't get too greedy trying to debuff speed on more of your guys.
Yeah, that too is. I know when you were considering it, my eyes probably started twinkling when you're like, I can move up right behind this forest, and I was like, I might be able to just walk and get to you. If not, I can definitely trample and get to him. And I think if Irusk gets in combat with Proteus, he's having probably a not great time. So it was. I know. Other games, you sometimes get a little bit greedy on your feats,
yes.
Like our Unbound game that we had there with Strakov.
Died immediately after.
So I think overall you played it really well, and I would just want to take another moment to thank Brian at Big Top Gaming for helping with teaching me how to do the thumbnails. That was cool. Great. And if you have any parting last thoughts?
No, just we're having a ton of fun doing these. It's great.
Yeah. If you want to increase our serotonin levels for us, give us a subscribe. Other than that, this has been Retaliatory Strike.